Welcome to another edition of AttractWell Office Hours. I'm Coach Ashley, joined today by founder of AttractWell, Greg Kilwine. Hey, Greg.
Hello, everyone. Really glad you're here today.
We are really excited to have you here today because we are going to be talking about pricing, namely whether or not you should tell people what you charge before they have a conversation with you. So we're going to get into a discussion of all of the sort of surrounding factors, whether you're a coach, you sell courses, maybe you offer services. We're going to get into what all of this looks like for you here on this call. If you're new here, welcome. We offer this call for free every Thursday at 2 p.m. US Eastern Time. This is for you if you are a coach, a consultant, service provider, a course creator, anyone who sells their expertise or products online. And of course, if you use the AttractWell system, you're going to get the added benefit here of learning where you can post your pricing, depending on what's most appropriate for how you sell and share your information. So we are going to get into that without further ado. Greg and I are going to pop out a video and get into these slides. While we do that, why don't you guys head into the chat? Let us know where you're coming in from. Let us know what you do. What do you sell? Who do you help? It's always fantastic to get to know you guys and learn more about your incredible work that you do. So again, welcome. Thrilled to have you here today. We are going to get into this here now. Here we go. All right. So first, the question, right? And we've heard this so many times is, should I post my prices? Should I? And of course, once I do, where do I put them? So we're going to get into both of those questions and their surrounding questions today. So first, we are going to talk about that. When and how to share your prices. We will get into what it looks like to share your pricing with AttractWell, and then we'll get into live help and Q&A. So this is a live session that's intended for us to work together on the call. And of course, today, because of our subject matter and a need for sort of meeting different circumstances, we'll be taking Q&A throughout this call. So if you are maybe having questions or concerns about what it is that you're offering and whether and when you show your pricing, then of course, feel free to add those to the Q&A here. And if you have questions that pertain to something other than today's subject of discussion, feel free to go ahead and put those into the Q&A as well. This is a live work call where we can get a lot done in an hour. We do tend to save our non-subject matter of the call related questions for the latter half. So definitely please go ahead and add those here. If Greg can answer it, he will be answering those as we go. So if you would like to get on the list, if you're watching this from our YouTube channel, go to attractwell.com/office hours so you can join us on one of these live Zoom calls. And if you'd like to work together live, we have dedicated space we hold for working together on calls like these. So if you have maybe a more complex question, or you would like to have a review of the work that you're doing, or you would just like to have some hands on your account to tweak some things that you might be struggling with, this call is for you. attractwell.com/work review. And there you are able to select a future Thursday call where we will work together in the second half of the call. And if you would like to just hand off what you would like to have done to someone who's an expert in AttractWell, well, you can do that too. attractwell.com/concierge is where you can go to learn more about our team and schedule a call to explore your options. All right, now head over into the chat, you guys. I would love to hear from you. What do you sell? I am already seeing we've got a couple of answers in here. So go ahead and head into the chat. Let me know what it is that you sell, and do you currently publish your prices on your website? Let us know in the chat and share that with us so that we can maybe discuss these things if you have questions about them here on the call today. So there are really two ways that you can go about sharing your pricing. Of course, you are always going to eventually let somebody know what you charge. Otherwise, you're not going to sell something, right? So first, we have our publicly discoverable way to share our pricing. That means that someone can just show up to your website or a page where you're selling something and they can find out what you charge, right? So this is publicly discoverable, shown to anyone at any time. So in AttractWell, you can have publicly discoverable pricing in a number of places. This can be in your online store if you have products that you sell in an online store. You could also use pages to do this, as well as to take payments on those pages using the setting. So in page settings, you can actually choose whether or not a page is available by link only or whether it is shown everywhere. That shown everywhere option is one that allows the page to show up in search engines, So truly anyone at any time would be able to publicly discover your pricing. And then the other way to share your pricing, which I think may pertain to a good number of us on the call here today, is that we share our pricing only to qualified leads at the time that it is appropriate for them to see it, right? When it's time for a qualified lead to make a decision as to whether or not the outcomes we can offer them are what they are looking for. So this is something that's typically shared maybe after an offer is made. So if you maybe are on a discovery call with someone, or after a qualifying action is taken. So if you have a more automated funnel, maybe you've got a lead that is in your general nurture sequence after opting in to get your PDF, but you say, hey, if you've got this problem, check out this pre-recorded workshop. And maybe you only want to pitch and sell to folks who have taken that qualifying action to watch that workshop, right? So that's another option you have here. And in AttractWell, if you're going to be sharing your pricing here, you're going to be using that by link only setting for showing pages, or you could, of course, select the vault option. So if you're selling something that's in a vault, you would be sending someone to the vault checkout page where they would be able to view and, of course, purchase from you. And to be fair, right? You can also post your pricing on Facebook, right? That's publicly discoverable. Or you could share it with someone privately. There's a lot of different ways that you can do this, but generally speaking, this is where we're coming from. You can be someone who has a publicly discoverable set of pricing, or you can be somebody who is only showing pricing to people who need to see it when they need to see it. So how do we determine which one we choose? So it's going to depend on two things. First, what you're selling. And second, whether you are qualifying people who might purchase from you. All right, so let's talk first about the easiest option, which is publicly discoverable pricing. So I just want anybody to know what I charge so that anybody could buy from me at any point, right? This is going to be something, for instance, that you could put in an online store. If you have products for sale, or if you have maybe one-off consultations or something like that, you can put something like that in your online store, because we do support e-commerce and AttractWell. Evergreen courses. If you have a course that you sell and it is available 24/7, 365, there's no live element of it. They can just go purchase it and get it when they want. You're maybe linking to it from content on YouTube or TikTok or what have you. That's an evergreen course, publicly discoverable pricing, perfect for that option. If you have small scale service offerings, maybe you offer some kind of an intro discovery call. Maybe you charge for discovery calls, right? Maybe you have an initial consult that you charge a nominal amount for so that your time is covered in sort of exploring the other options, right? So small scale service options, again, where you don't have to pre-qualify someone before them making a purchase. And then again, you got those initial consults. And then finally, if you've got a flagship offer. So let's just say, for instance, I think a great example of this would be Marie Forleo, for instance. She sells a number of her different courses, just 4 or 5 of them, and they're the same thing every year. When she sells them, they're the same price. Those are flagship offerings. This is what I'm known for. This is when I offer it, and here's the price for it. Come and get it or leave it, right? So that would be another instance here. And again, if you want to have a thing that you're known for and the details of it, like what's included and the pricing of it doesn't change, then of course you can keep that price published, right? So, and finally, ultimately, importantly, you can have publicly discoverable pricing for anything that you are okay with anyone on the internet purchasing. The reason why this is bold and so important is, well, I hope that you have never had to learn the hard way what it's like to take a client that maybe wasn't worth whatever they paid you to take on, right? So you want to be mindful of this. You don't want to spend any significant amount of your time trying to process refunds and deal with people who ultimately aren't right for you, right? So again, if there is any sensitivity to what it is that you're selling and the nature of how you deliver it, I don't typically recommend publicly discoverable pricing, but if it's something somebody can just go buy and access to, and it's automated and it doesn't take up a bunch of your time, feel free, go ahead and do it. All right, now let's talk about gating your pricing. This is our option number 2, and there's a couple of ways to do it. Some of them are a little bit more low tech, a little bit more logical, maybe something that would feel comfortable and normal for you. And then there are others that are a bit more advanced, technologically speaking, such as maybe multi-step options and funnels. All right, so gating your pricing. In order to do this, we want to, well, we're not going to get into the how just yet, but let's talk a little bit about why you might choose this. Okay, so first, if you need to pre-qualify a lead before you decide to offer them a product or service. So this is going to be particularly important to you if you work one-on-one with clients, or if you cultivate small groups on client journeys together, maybe group coaching, things like that, where you want to make sure that they're a fit for you or for your community. You must gate your pricing. Really, really important. This is, especially if the pricing that you're showing is going to allow them the opportunity to purchase, right? So again, if you're high ticket offers, one-on-one coaching, group coaching, communities where you want to really preserve a particular type of dynamic, any offer that requires an initial consult before purchase, you want to gate your pricing. If you have something that you've never launched or run before, maybe you're offering some kind of discounted pricing for what it is that you're doing because it is your first launch and you're testing the waters with this. You don't want to go out and have publicly viewable pricing for something that you're going to run again in 6 months for double the price. You want that to be something that's only viewable to the folks who have pre-qualified themselves to be able to see that information, right? So any service offering as well that might vary in scope based on your client's presenting circumstances. So if you custom quote for people, period, 100%, end of story, you need to be gating your pricing because you need to be able to quote based on what you're going to be doing. And this is for service providers. Okay, now let's get into this a little bit further because I've seen some discussion about this and some of it does make sense, but I really want to kind of impress upon you as somebody who has a sales background and specifically specializing in the sales of coaching and services. I want to encourage you to just listen to this reasoning here. Why I don't encourage publishing your pricing if you are a coach or a consultant or you're selling services. Okay. First, we've got to qualify our leads before we share our prices. And the reason why we want to do that is because we don't want people who are coming to us because they are price shopping. If somebody wants a benefit that you offer, they need to see that what you charge is a drop in the bucket compared to what they'll get, right? That the ROI for choosing to work with you is exponentially higher, right, than the price that they pay. And that's not something that you are able to do if somebody is, price shopping. If they're coming in and only thinking of what they are willing to pay, then they aren't going to have a productive conversation with you. So in this instance, if the customer knows best, then they don't need you, do they? So if the customer is coming in and saying, well, I'm willing to pay X amount of money to get XYZ thing done because this person over here is charging this and this person over here is charging that. If that person knows that much about getting the results that they need, then they don't really need to hire someone like you, do they? Right? So you are the person who knows best how to get someone the result that you know how to get. And if you show your pricing before you've had an opportunity to communicate with them, they have made a decision before you have even had a chance to speak with them and explore the why behind their desire to have this conversation and potentially make this purchase in the first place, right? So if pricing is shown first, they don't even need to speak to you. A lot of the time, they have already made a decision. And if they've already made a decision, you're not going to have an effective conversation. So remember, when people are purchasing, and this is for you, again, if you're a coach, you're a consultant, if you're a service provider, but especially you coaches, when someone signs on to work with you, they're paying for someone who is going to assist them in a process of them doing the work. And it's really important that their buy-in isn't just for whatever the price of your program is. Their buy-in needs to be on the action that they have to take. And in order for you to truly get that full buy-in so they can get the result that they're paying for, you need to have a conversation, right? You need to have a conversation with them that's not centered around whatever the price is that you charge. It's centered around why they want that change in the first place and what they're willing to do above and beyond whatever they would pay you in order to get that result, right? You're going to help them get that result if they're taking that action, right? So you want to make sure that you have the opportunity to have that conversation that gets them in the right headspace to make that commitment, right? It's a bigger buy-in than just a purchase. So to qualify your leads before you share your pricing, you've got a couple of ways to do this. The first is a discovery or strategy call. We have talked previously, in fact, last week, we talked about funnels for this purpose. Here you would have a call with them. And then, of course, after, you would be sending them to a checkout page or a sales page where they can complete the payment process, or you could do that with them over the phone or over Zoom. So you've made that offer on your qualifying call, and we're moving into a sales or checkout page to close the deal. And the other way that you can qualify leads before sharing, and this is the more slightly more advanced option here, is a funnel. So like I mentioned previously, if you've got a lead generating funnel where perhaps you're offering some kind of a freebie, maybe a video, a PDF, et cetera, and you want to be able to move qualified leads into a sales sequence, quite often the best option is to move them to a secondary offer. I particularly love using sales videos for this purpose. And this is one where you can, maybe for just as an example, somebody opts in to get a free PDF. Maybe it's a 10-page guide on how to get something done. But you offer to that person after they get that guide. If they're looking for that type of benefit, then they would really benefit from checking out this workshop. And that workshop helps them to maybe go a little deeper with that strategy or whatever it is that you shared in the lead magnet. But then at the close of that video, and of course in the campaign that follows, you are actually pitching, right? And in that case, maybe you're selling your program or you're selling a course or whatever that looks like. And at that point, after that lead has qualified themselves, not by being someone who got the PDF, but by being the person who got the PDF and then watched the video, they are now qualified to receive your sales campaign, where you would then be sending your sales page, which has your pricing displayed, right? So no one on your website is going to see the pricing for the program that you sell. That's only going to be an offer made to people who have reached this part of your funnel, right? All right, so let's talk about where we can share pricing in AttractWell. And then if you are someone who is here today, maybe looking for a direct conversation about how to go about yours, maybe pop your hand up and I'll be bringing you out to chat here in just a moment. So in AttractWell, we have a couple of places to share pricing, right? So first is obviously and simply the AttractWell store. If you have products that you want to list and sell, you can do that in the store with our product listings. You also have pages in AttractWell where you can create sales pages or even pages that are sort of a directory of the things you sell, where you would then point off to your sales pages. So where you would be displaying your payment information is going to be under page settings. And then there is a payments tab there, just like we have a leads tab where you can set it up for collecting leads. We also have a payments tab if you would like to collect payment on that page. So that is where you can do that. And then in Vaults, you are able to create a payment setup for Vaults. This is going to be important for you, especially if your pricing is going to be based on multi-part payments or recurring payments, because that's not something that we currently support on pages. You can list the pricing on a sales page, but you would have to point them over to the Vault to complete checkout. And importantly, and again, this is something I mentioned earlier, I'll go show you guys here briefly. In Pages, there is a setting to show the page everywhere and a setting to show the page by link only. And that is going to impact whether or not you have a page that is publicly discoverable. If a page is shown by link only, it is only going to be visible to anyone who receives the link. So if the link is posted somewhere, anyone who is in that place where it's posted will be able to click it and see it. If it's shared via email, only the people who receive that email are going to be able to click it and see it, and so on. And Vault checkout pages like the by link only pages, are only going to be discoverable if they are linked from another place, right? Shared directly, posted on another page, etc. Okay. Now, if you want to learn more about setting up payments, so if you want to actually take payments on pages, in vaults, etc., we do have an additional training on how to take payments, right? So this will actually walk you through that, and you can find that by going right over here to the Success Academy in the AttractWell dashboard, and then clicking on live training, and then right in here, type in payments, and it will take you to that training and others like it. All right. So let's get into some live help and Q&A. Again, I wanted to make sure that you guys are super clear on sort of what the options are, what the kind of mindset is behind this. And then, of course, we can get into more of the minutia and the individual sort of cases for you guys. So bear with me for just a moment. I'm going to get into the Jane account, and I'm going to show you what I mentioned on pages, that setting that you really want to be looking for. So this is website pages. If I create a sales page, and I'll actually find one and show you. Here we go. Here's a sales page with countdown timers, a part of a resource bundle that we've shared previously. It's a nice long sales page that I would maybe use to sell a course or program inside of a funnel. And here, if we want to display pricing on the page, we have several options. Of course, one of those is way down here in the section where I actually put the prices on the page. Here we go. Payment options. I can, say whatever that is, right? But if I want to make it possible to take payments on the page, as well as to determine who is able to see this page, I can go right up here to settings. And the first thing, this is the pages shown everywhere or by link only. Sales pages, generally speaking, my recommendation is to have them shown by link only. That's going to be the case for the majority of folks. Everywhere, if it's something that you want the search engines to be able to find, right? That's fine. And then, of course, if you do want to be able to take payment on this page, you're going to handle that up here in the payments tab. This particular dummy account here does not have a payment processor attached to it, but if it did, you'd be able to actually set your payments up right here. And again, we do have that other training that I mentioned that goes into detail about that, that particular feature and how to use it. All right, let me come over here. If anyone wants to chat about your specific questions, I think, Marilyn, if you're still here, pop your hand up, let me know, and I'd be happy to chat with you through what you are working on. And yeah, anyone else, if you want to talk through your specific interests where it pertains to displaying your pricing, we could certainly do that here as well. Let me see, it looks like Greg got that question. Okay, the payment processor. So Melody, for AttractWell, what is built into our pages is Stripe. So you would actually be going in and setting up or connecting your Stripe account to AttractWell, and that is where those payments are going to be processing. Let me see. It looks like Marilyn's not here. I would love to answer those questions. Let me see if there's anything else. Move from one-on-one coaching to group coaching. Awesome. Catherine says, I sell time with me as well as resource packages related to that. Haven't decided about how and when to put prices up. Awesome. If happy to chat about that, feel free to pop your hand up and we can talk. Anyone who's interested in chatting about what that looks like for you, we can talk through that here on this call here today. I should say, just generally speaking, as a rule, if you are a coach, something that you offer that is maybe just something that's always available, right? So if these are resources and the resources are something anyone can purchase, so that would almost be like a step up from a lead magnet, right? So opt in and get my free thing. That's a lead magnet. One step up from that might be, I have a bundle of things. It's, this is $297, this is $60, whatever that is. By all means, display prices for that. Those are actually really great lead magnets. Interestingly enough, depending on what your sort of ultimate price points are for the things that you sell, having things that people can just purchase on your website, typically for a lower price point, those are going to be fantastic for giving people a taste of what you offer. That's a step above what you would be putting into a lead magnet, and of course, you're generating some amount of revenue in the process. And it's been a while since I have seen the actual numbers on this and the study. So forgive me if I'm butchering this in any way, if you're more familiar with it than I am. But there is not insignificant potential closing ratio for somebody who has already purchased something from you. Like if they put $1 on the table, the likelihood that they'll put 1,000 down shoots through the roof. Right? That's the Cliff's Notes on that. So if you are offering things that you can sell, for any amount of money, the people who put some amount of money down are going to be much more likely to close on something that you sell later. And again, your options are numerous. You don't have to be someone who runs strategy calls to be able to reliably close lots of leads into clients and customers. It's just really important that you are not allowing for their decision making to happen before you've been able to really lay out the story, right? To really kind of coach the narrative. Because at the end of the day, people show up to experts thinking they know what they need, and then ultimately realizing that there was something else entirely that they needed to focus on. How many times have you, maybe heard of somebody going to, I don't know, maybe a doctor, some kind of healthcare professional, and saying, well, I think I need this, I think I have that, because they went to WebMD or something like that. And then they find out that there is a completely different thing they need to be focusing on. For those of you who are in the holistic or functional space, I know you know what I'm talking about. So we can't have the customer is always right mentality, and we can't for a moment think that by not putting our prices out there first, that we are being sneaky or withholding in any way, because we need people to make decisions for themselves based on all of the facts. And the first fact that they need to learn is not how much do I charge? It's all of the other things that can contribute to whether or not they'll be successful in working with you. And so these are things that can be set up to deliver in an automated way. Or there are things, of course, if you do need to qualify somebody, that you can allow to be revealed after you have qualified them on a call and you've made that offer. Of course, from that point, you're able to share that information. Okay, Catherine says, I don't think I have my thinking clarified yet. I have 3 client buckets. I'm putting together what each of the things in each of the buckets look like. Yeah, if you'd like to, do you know how to put your hand up on Zoom? And you can say no, it's fine. You don't have to talk if you don't want to. Hey, there we go. Hey there. Let's talk about these buckets. Are you there? Can you hear me? I'm not sure if your microphone is connected. Because it doesn't look like it's catching you speaking.
Okay, is that better?
Yes, it is. I can hear you now.
You're smiling. Okay. And I love your hair.
Thanks.
So at any rate, I will start. So I have 3 different client buckets. Like I said, there, I've got EMDR therapy. My intention is to start doing it in an intensive manner. So half days to 3 days to do trauma stuff. And that's with clients. And then clinical supervision for therapist licensure. They need hours with me, but my value added is a bunch of resources, information, kind of the things you leave graduate school thinking, oh crap, I don't know anything. Yeah, you do. Let me help you recognize that you do and get your hands back on all the stuff you know. And then the third bucket is as an EMDR consultant. And so I'm kind of messing myself up because I had people show up for license supervision without asking. And so that created the third bucket. And I want the first bucket and I'm moving towards the third bucket. And so I'm just sort of still creating PDFs that would be helpful for each group and things like that. So as you were talking, when I typed, this is super helpful, talking about having somebody buy something means that they'll be more likely to buy the higher dollar item later. And so what I think I'm going to do, and I'm not a salesperson, period. But so this is helpful to me. I think what I'm going to do is create kind of a cheat sheet in session note holder kind of thing so that the therapist that is either doing EMDR or straight license supervision has something to write on, and it reminds them, don't forget to ask this, don't forget to ask that. And
Yeah.
then the step into group consultation or group supervision and individual supervision, which I
Mhm.
feel work. And then I'm creating vaults for all three of these buckets that include, like for the brand new therapist bucket, how do you diagnose in DSM? And so
Mhm.
I've already put together, God help us, 12, I think, videos, because there's a lot of diagnoses. So that's where I'm at. And my apologies to everyone else in the audience, because it's not very focused, but that's what I was saying. So I'll take your thoughts
Yeah.
with my gratitude.
Question first. Where the CEs are concerned, are you putting yourself out there as a provider of continuing education credits, or is
No,
that just sort of a bonus for folks
it's a
who are a part
bonus.
of that? Okay. Okay, cool. Cool, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
So in
CEUs are too much.
Okay, perfect. All right. I know that's a focus of some folks, and I think that's an important distinction. If you are somebody who's offering CE courses, continuing education courses, typically for people who are in practitioner roles, who need to retain licensure, if you're someone who offers those, and maybe you have several of those options, there is definitely a case to be made for having that publicly posted, especially if you're getting referrals as a CE provider, right? That would be a case to maybe have your prices published, because that's that's an evergreen thing, right? But what we're
Mhm.
talking about here, Catherine, is you really being a thought leader in this space. And so you as a thought leader, the way that I would put this, so that you can go and pull people toward the pricing pages that are appropriate to them, and you have people actually winding up in the correct buckets, is one of a few ways. You could have a central lead magnet that would be relevant to all of these folks. And then when you're taking the leads information on the page, you can use automation. So if they check, I am a this or this or this, A, B, or C, you can use automations to tag them and put them on 3 different campaigns. Give them the same lead magnet, but talk to them in a different way based on how they identified themselves at the time of becoming the lead. That's one option. If if they would all resonate more or less with the same lead magnet. Otherwise, you may want to create sort of a pathway very close to the top of your website, and definitely in the menu, where you're able to say, I'm a this, I'm a this, I'm a that, or something to that effect, right? Something that would be identifying to the people in these different buckets. And that way you can take them to sort of their own page with their own experience, where you speak to them in context, offer them some kind of a freebie, or, again, maybe even lead them to a page that does have pricing on it, depending on what it is that you're selling. And it's not something that needs to be pre-qualified. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. Thank you. So
Yeah, yeah,
basically
absolutely.
the top of the site, I want to sort out clients from providers. But then within providers, there's still two magnets. And potentially sometimes providers might also want to do an intensive. So
Yeah.
I'll do like this, or this in the contact thing, and then do 3 different vaults and or sales pages for smaller aspects of things. Awesome.
Yeah, yeah. And I think too, like, you could even just think about the avatars as being, I mean, it is either, the provider or the not provider, right? And if you are a provider, here's the provider page. And here's a lead magnet, and just make sure that they're specifying I'm this or that, right? And again, if you are providing, you don't necessarily have to have 3 different lead magnets. But you do want to make sure that you're being very clear, like, I'm speaking to you here, and if this is not you, go over here. And then you can start taking them in the direction you want them to go.
Thank
And when
you.
you're talking about intensives, or something that you're not going to be offering as an evergreen thing, just something that's available when it's available, you really want to pour as much of your efforts and attention into getting people into the main funnel, because the people who are going to respond to purchase and intensive are most of the time going to be somebody who's on your list because they have opted into something, they already follow you, they read your blog, or they've purchased something from you.
Yeah, I think that's right. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, sure thing. Okay, Socrates says, as a sales professional, I set up offers on a product or service using low, medium, and high so that they have a choice which one they want. Most will go medium. Yes. This is the way sales become a decision and they are pre-closing themselves. Yeah, that's actually something that, especially in the software world, you'll see that that's the case on AttractWell, right? So when you go to AttractWell, your options to purchase, we've got a low, medium, high. Most people pick medium. There are other options too, but that philosophy does ring true for sure. And just it depends on what it is that you're selling. That influences this. I know that when we get this question, should I show my pricing? It's typically coming from people who are coaches, and so there isn't typically like a low, medium, high option that you want to necessarily show at the outset. Typically, what you're doing as a coach is, you're going to have a qualifying conversation, see if you're a fit to work together, because a coach is only as effective as the commitment of the person that they're coaching, right, in terms of the results they can get for them. So in that conversation, you can make the medium offer or make the high offer, and in any case you're able to say, for instance, if their objection is truly, I cannot afford that, that's not something I can do right now, then you do have that option of a downsell, which is often an entirely different product or something that is maybe a fractional part of the main thing. I'd be really interested in chatting with you more about that and maybe learning more about what you do specifically if you would like. And that offer is open to everyone. If you would like to pop up your hand here in Zoom and discuss kind of, maybe like what Catherine was talking about, having these sort of different buckets, because we don't always necessarily serve at all levels. Sometimes we have kind of a ladder, where we're speaking to people who are in this place right now. They will maybe eventually be here. And some people come in midway or closer to the top. And you may be speaking to different pain points, having different funnels and infrastructure in place. Of course, if you are someone who is using strategy and discovery calls as a main means of qualifying, you're probably getting a good deal of information about that person before you even get on the call. And you can go in really with the idea of how you want to approach offering whichever solution it might be that you offer. And this is kind of the benefit too of just not having everything out there. Because if I'm getting onto a call with somebody and I know, because of what I know, that they would benefit most from option C, but they've already been to my website and feel like they are fully versed on what I do just based on what I was able to fit onto a page on my website, they think that they really are B. And if they come in thinking that that's what they need and I'm telling them something different, we've created a disconnect and it's going to be a lot more difficult to close that deal and to get them what they wanted. Now, of course, it's going to vary greatly based on what you sell and to whom. So yeah, if you guys have more questions, happy to get into that with you. Or if you'd like to look at something else entirely, we could certainly do that here as well. And I think since we are here and on this topic, more or less, let me go ahead and show you just a little preview of what that's going to look like to set up something for sale on a page in AttractWell. So let me find one here real quick that I can show you in an account that has a, here we go, something that has a payment option enabled. So here we go. This is our, this is a sales page template. And it's actually one that we offer on our sales page training on YouTube. If you go here, you can see this is shared by link only. So this would be applicable to you in any instance. The only way someone is going to see this page is if you link to it from your menu or from somewhere on a page on your site or from anywhere on the web, or if you share it directly with your lead via email, text, or otherwise. So what we do here is we go into the settings, like I showed you, it's available by link only, and then we can go into payments. And you can see I actually have package options set up here where they can choose from different options. And this is kind of what I was talking about to a different degree with Catherine. I'll show you what I was actually talking about with you in a moment, but you select your payment processor here. And then you have the ability, let's just say you are someone who wants to display option 1, 2, and 3, actually, like Socrates is mentioning here. That is how I have the sales page set up, is for you to be able to do that very thing if you choose. So here's option 1, option 2, option 3, very likely increasing in, in benefits and in price from 1 to 3. Here we can actually go in and set up different post-payment experiences. So if somebody does choose option 2, they will be able to make that purchase from this same page. And they will go to, based on the automation that you attach here, we can redirect them to a unique page. We can apply a unique campaign to them that's related specifically to this option that they purchased. We can tag them with the option that they purchased. And of course, we can add them, if we're using vaults, into the vault that is appropriate for them. In addition to that, because it's an automation, if there are maybe steps that you need to perform internally, you can use a follow-up plan for any of these. And then all of that can, of course, can be managed from a single sales page. And so that is what that would look like. And then what I was referring to, Catherine, if you were to kind of use a unified lead magnet, where, for instance, you're bringing someone into your nurture system and kind of gearing them up for which one of these sales campaigns and their pricing that you might put in front of them. Under the leads tab here, you have the ability to, under these labels, I'm going to add a field and say, which are you? You would probably be more eloquent than I in this case. We're going to use a drop-down list or a list to pick one. And we'll edit that list and we'll say, I am an A, I am a B, or I am a C. And then we have the ability again here to customize what that post opt-in experience looks like using automations, tags, and campaigns. So if I want, if this is a provider, I want them to receive something different than, someone who's a bit more general, or if somebody's the owner of a business, or they're a doctor's office or something like that, I may choose to send them something different. So you would be using these features here to reroute leads from the same page, from the same lead magnet. Or this could be something very basic, like sign up for my newsletter, and then which are you? Like, let me know which one of these you are, so that you can put them into buckets with those tags, and then you can customize the communications that get sent to them. All right, Catherine says, from there, can you let people have installment payments for the different packages? So in that case, Catherine, if you have installments as an option for the payments that you're offering, what you would do is, instead of using the payments tab on this page, I would actually link off to the Vault checkout page for these respective offers, right? Or if it's one vault, you can have multiple installment payment plans available on a single vault as well. So you do have that option too. So you would actually be going to an external link. So this would be to a place where someone can purchase at the vault level. You would still use the sales page for the same purpose that you would otherwise. That's, especially if you're sending this to someone via a sales campaign on an automated basis. This is not necessarily something you need to send to somebody that you've had a one-on-one call with and qualified them for. You could send them straight to a Vault checkout page. But yeah, what you would do is from your pricing section of your sales page, if they're ready to take action, then you would send them over to the Vault checkout page. Speaking of which, let me actually go over and show you how to set up Vault payment. So I'm going to go ahead and just add a new Vault and show you guys under payment setup here. This could be one vault where you have multiple payment options, or you could be pointing to vaults that have different experiences in them. So an example might be, at the base level, you are offering a course, and that is just a vault with a class in it. Maybe at the mid-level, you are offering a group program where you've got a discussion room, and maybe at the higher level, you are offering that same vault with discussion room, but you're also going to be sending them a campaign that encourages them to book on your calendar, right? So you would offer that at 3 different price points. So I'm going to select my payment processor and then start adding plans. And so here is where you would actually start incorporating that information. So this would be the 3-part payment, option A. And then they would have, right, they would have their 3-part payment of $100 for 3 months. Or if this was something that was ongoing, right? So this is monthly or yearly payments, then you could set it up here. You would, again, provide those tags, and that automation, again, as well, is going to allow you to reroute them to a specific confirmation page if you want them to receive a specific campaign and so on. So it's not just if they buy this vault, they get just what's in the vault and everybody gets the same communication. That is one way to do it, but you could create multiple experiences in that way with the same vault. Okay, Melody, explain vaults quick, like when to use them. Would it be a boot camp as well as a course, or is it an experience, or when people only need to take payments, etc.? So if you're using a vault for checkout, I definitely recommend that you have content in there. It is, if you want to have someone on a payment plan, whether that is in perpetuity, recurring, monthly or annually, or if it is a multi-part payment plan, you do need to use vaults to process those payments. And essentially, you just need to make sure that there's something in there, because it's a place in your member area that they're now going to be able to log into and see. So the instances for where you might use this would be courses, obviously. So, just an online course where people can go in and peruse information at their pace. It could be a group program where you maybe release content by date or by day sequence, interval. And maybe you've got discussion in there. You can also use vaults for private client dashboards. That's where you can really kind of replicate what would be a group experience, but have it be a place where it's just you and your one client. And you can do that for many clients. We do have an unlimited vaults add-on with AttractWell, vaults and classes, where you are able to execute this. And actually, if you check out our recent trainings, we did one on a private client dashboard fairly recently, or at least we incorporated that into it. And we have done a dedicated training on private client dashboards before. So all of these are applicable, right? Everything that you asked here, could you do a boot camp in there? Yes. Course, yes. An experience, yes. All of the above. If your primary purpose is to take payment, then what I might do is put onboarding modules. So, if everyone that you work with is someone that you maybe just get on a call with once a week, or you just handle them like you have handled them previously in terms of their calls and how you work with them, inside of the vault, you might put important resources that you would share with any client. You might put the link to get on your calendar and to book calls with you. Your agreements that you need them to upload might be in there as well. So there's lots of that as options. I really like doing when I create something that is really, if I create a vault that is for the purpose of just private coaching, I like to take all of the supporting content that teaches the concepts that they need to learn into that vault, right? Because now, instead of me using coaching time on calls to teach, I'm using coaching time on calls to coach, because they learned the teaching stuff before they got on the call with me. So vaults are a place where you can do any of those things inside of a protected member area. And how you use them, of course, just depends on how you want to serve clients. And if you want to chat through that, happy to do it. Pop your hand up. And I would love to do that. All right, let me see if I'm missing anything else. Okay, here we go. Hi.
Oh, so one other just quick question. Like, I've been going to people's blogs because I think I would like to start a blog, and some require a login to get to the blogs, but then there's a list of the latest blogs with the little icon like you guys do. I don't quite get why there's a login for a blog.
Okay, so we do have a password protected feature on that's available for blog posts. If for whatever reason you wanted to make a blog password protected, this would be a way to share information that's protected from public visibility without creating a vault for it. It's not a use case that I see often, but it is, a fun thing that we have. And maybe that's something that you've run into, but it could be that that's what you're seeing. Sometimes maybe I don't, it could be that people are linking incorrectly. I mean, blog posts generally are not going to be password protected, and they definitely don't live inside of the member area. They are, by definition, a public part of any website, unless, of course, you want to put a password protection on that individual post. And that's actually a setup option that you have here. I can actually go over to our blog and show you what that might look like if we wanted to password protect a post. So I'll just grab this one here. And let me see, I believe that's going to be an advanced option, right? Yeah. So you can enter a password here. If you would like to share a password with folks and tell them, hey, I've released something and you're only going to see it because you're on my list. Go to this link and put in this password, and then they'll be able to see it.
Okay, cool. That was new to me, and I was just wondering why in the world they would do such a thing, kind of.
I'm often a little curious too, but sometimes it's just something that they want to maybe offer to people who are, it's like a value add, and maybe an encouragement for people to get on their list if that's, maybe how they're sharing that information. But it's kind of hard to say if that's what you're running into. It's that you're going to a blog post and they're saying it's a blog post, but it needs a password, then that's probably what's happening there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure thing. There's definitely also a case to be made, just so you guys know, for having a space where you publish information that people who read the blog maybe even can't see. And so that's going to allow you maybe an additional layer of qualification for certain types of leads, right? So it doesn't necessarily just have to be, I opted in for a PDF and then I watched or clicked on a video and now I'm getting sales messages, and now I can see pricing and, learn that I can work with this person. You can actually create content that you put into a vault in your member area, and people have to become members of your member area. That can be a free thing. And then of course they can go log in and check out that information. Maybe you put that into a class, like into a lesson in a class, in a vault. You could also put that onto a page or even into a discussion room inside of a vault as well. And so if somebody, say, reads your blog, but they would like to go get the VIP version, or whatever it is that you would like to set that up as, they could do that as well. And of course, they just need to create a login to your member area. So that could be a case there as well. I would recommend that more so than I would password protecting a blog post, just because if you're getting someone into your member area and you have things to sell there, you want to get them into a place where they can see what they can buy from you. If that's somebody who would take that extra step, right, to get a little closer to what it is that you're doing. All right, Randy says, could you review the content option for vaults again? I have a vault where clients land after they pay for coaching. Currently, it has onboarding materials. I'll have additional educational resources to share with all clients, but I was thinking this would be in a private vault, but it sounds like doing this in a private vault isn't necessary. So the content that can go into vaults. So let's recall the toy that we played with when we were kids, where there's like all of the different shaped holes and we got the little things that go inside of the shaped holes, right? So the main toy here is the member area. And what goes in the member area, the only thing that fits into member area are the vault shaped pieces, right? So only vaults go into member areas. But if we break that apart, our vaults can take 3 different shapes of content: our pages, classes, and discussion rooms. Now, all vaults are password protected in your member area, right? Because the member area has password protection. And then once someone is inside the member area, they can access whichever vaults they have permission to get access to. So they've paid for it, you've added them manually, or they've opted into something free or something to that effect, right? So is it necessary to put a client into a password protected member area just to get onboarding materials? Not necessarily. It's definitely something recommended, because there's so many other things you can do with a client once they're in your member area. You can do things like shared progress tracking. If it's a private client dashboard, they can chat with you directly. So all your communication is in the same place as the education and the links and all of that. So it's definitely an ideal setup. But if you really needed something that was more simple, you could just have a page that is accessible by link only, that has all of the links that they need to see. right? And you would need to send that to them via email, and you may need to send it again. They may lose it, etc. This is kind of why I really like using member areas for that purpose. So, so yeah, the reason why you want to have a private member area with a vault in it with this content is because you want to have a place where your client builds a habit of coming back and visiting, participating in. And of course, it starts to, especially again, if you're using them as private client dashboards, it's creating a means for you to have everything you need for each client all in one place. So you don't have to worry about the email correspondence or text correspondence or really anything else. Automations and the content and everything can just be right there in one clean, simple place. And that allows you the ability to serve a lot more clients at one time than you could have previously. Let me know if that answers your question, Randy. I hope it does. If not, definitely feel free to send me your follow-up questions here, and I can address those. So you can create a member area for one of those $1 sales that helps you qualify for the $1,000 sale. And that's not, no. Okay. So you do not need a vault to sell something. If you are selling something for like $1, I would just use a funnel for that and then just send them whatever the thing is, the PDF, the video link, whatever. Send that to them via the email campaign attached to the funnel. So they go to a landing page or a page where I showed you how to set up payment. They go to a page. Here's this really cool thing. You're going to get it for just $1. It's going to be so awesome. Pay for the $1 thing, and I'm going to send it to you. And so yeah, you can send a campaign after they give their money, the campaign that's attached to that point of purchase there, and that campaign will have the link to whatever they bought. Now, if it's a $1 trial, you could put this in a vault if it's meant to be like, it's $1 and then in a month it's going to be 100 or 1,000 or whatever. You would use a vault for that, sure. But I think that the use case that you're talking about is just sort of selling them a thing, and that's sort of qualifying them to be able to be sold the higher ticket thing later. And in that case, you don't have to have a vault to do that. Could you put things that resemble podcast episodes in the member area? You bet you can. Yes, absolutely. You can upload MP3 files to AttractWell. You could upload videos into AttractWell. Video podcasts obviously are a thing. And you can put those into a sequence of lessons. You can embed them on pages. If you're going to be putting these in perpetuity, right? If you're doing maybe like a weekly weekly premium content, and you have to be a free or paid subscriber to access this, I would be putting that into a class inside of your vault for those people. But yeah, absolutely, you can do that. And that's a great value add to really get people to come and engage with your member area as well. All right, I like the idea of a member area to get people used to going and finding me. Didn't mean $1. Yeah, low cost versus higher cost. Yeah, so again, it just depends on what you're selling. If what you're selling is an ebook, right, or a guide or a PDF or something like that, you don't necessarily need to use a vault for that. If the design of the thing that you've created is such that you want people to communicate, you want a community, great. Use a vault for that. If you are maybe using that as a sort of setup to get somebody to purchase access to something else that's in the vault, then you could certainly do that as well. If it's a multimedia experience, maybe you're selling something for $297 and that's sort of an intro offer, and it's got a series of 5 videos and some PDFs. Yes, use a vault for that, because it's a lot of content to organize and just send via an email, right? If it's a simple thing you're selling, I would use a simpler tool to offer it and to deliver it. But the more complex it is, the more benefit you're going to get out of using a structure that can manage that organization for you, such as a vault. So technically, Catherine, yes. I mean, you could have an empty member area. Yeah. But the member area exists for people to have experiences in vaults. So think about it this way. A long time ago, back in the Wild West days of WordPress, you could have a member area on your website, but the member area was just members. It was just like a catch-all. Just think like a forum or a community, and it's just one space inside of your member area, right? what we have now, and what's really easy to create here with AttractWell, is somebody could have a login to your member area and they can go dive into 17 different things, or 1 or 3, depending on how many things they have access to. So whatever content you want someone to see, it needs to be inside of a vault. Because remember, the member area only takes vault shaped pieces, right? And content can only live in the vaults, right? And the vaults can take pages, discussion rooms, and classes. Okay, you got it. Good questions. This turned into a 50% vaults and member areas discussion today, and I'm here for it. I'm excited to see what you guys create with it. And certainly look forward to further discussion about what it looks like to use these features on your site. If you have a request, if there's something that you would like to talk about specifically, we can dedicate a call to it. Let us know. I'm Ashley at AttractWell. Shoot me an email. Let me know if there's something that you would like to cover in greater detail. And of course, we look forward to seeing you on an upcoming call. Melody had one more question here pertaining to this. How do you limit the items inside of 17 are available? Whether or not someone has access to a vault is going to be based on the actions they or you take. So if you have 17 offerings available, ranging in price, some free, some paid, some low cost, some high cost, etc., 14 of those might be private client vaults that nobody is ever going to be able to see or enter unless you add them. Right? It's just you and that private client in that private client vault. And then maybe the other 3, you have, a course, you've got a group program, and you've got a free community. Whether or not somebody has access to those are based on how you allow people to enter. So they will fill out a form on a landing page or a page and get access for free. Right. And that's, you have the add to vault as an option when someone opts in on a form on landing pages or pages. They could sign up at the vault level if you share the link with them. And then, of course, paid access to vaults are going to come from them adding themselves by filling out information on a sales page or filling out information on a vault checkout page to access paid content. And of course, the final option there, and I mean, there are technically others, but the final option here would be that you have added them manually. There are ways to use automations to allow somebody to just click a link and that automation applies to them to add them or move them to another vault. We do have that support of that kind of dialed in ability, but you're able to decide when you create and set up a vault whether or not anyone else can see it except the people who have permission to see it and access it. And then, of course, you have the ability for things to be viewable. So if somebody got into your member area, maybe they can see that there are 4 things that they could choose to purchase, and the 17 other things, they're not even going to see. They're not going to know that they're there, right? Unless you've chosen that setting for them to be able to see. All right. Thank you for that. And I hope you guys have a fantastic week. We look forward to seeing you back here same time next week. Take care, everybody.